North Carolina. 14 local shelters have been opened in multiple counties, and for updated shelter information, please visit readync.gov. Our partners in the North Carolina Office of EMS have deployed ambulance buses, additional EMS units, and additional medical personnel to assist in sheltering operations and to support healthcare facilities. This will also continue post-impact. There have been rescues made, and the response to swiftwater incidents is ongoing across the mountains as of this morning by members of our North Carolina first responder and search and rescue community. The North Carolina State Emergency Operations Center has deployed 30 swiftwater rescue teams and added additional swiftwater rescue teams from New York, Indiana, Illinois, Oklahoma, New Hampshire, Delaware, and Michigan. This is in addition to 5 urban search and rescue teams deployed to assist with any structural collapses that occur. FEMA has deployed 4 search and rescue teams, and we are requesting additional teams at this time, as well as some potential partnership with our colleagues in the U.S. Coast Guard. The North Carolina National Guard has deployed over 350 National Guardsmen and 131 vehicles to include high water vehicles and aviation assets to assist in the event, and are adding to those numbers throughout the day today. The logistics branch has assisted counties and response partners with deployment of meals, water, tarps, and other commodities and supplies. As we have continued to state, flooding may occur outside of areas that normally flood with the forecasted rainfall totals we are seeing. Please stay safe today. Check on your neighbors and those in your community who need assistance, and take protective actions when directed by local authorities to do so. During a disaster or major event, we are stronger together and make for more resilient communities. Finally, I'd like to say thank you to the dedicated and brave first responders and members of the emergency management community who are answering North Carolina's call and working to save lives in your communities across the state. Thank you. Governor.
Thank you, Director Ray. I've activated additional National Guard soldiers to help with this, and so I'm going to ask Adjutant General of the North Carolina National Guard, Major General Todd Hunt, for his update.
Thank you, Governor. And before I get started, I'm going to give a quick update on what the Guard is doing, but additionally, I want to thank the Guard.
This is going to go until 11:30. It's 11:11 right now. This is a shorter duration tornado warning because of its proximity to the Sampson County line. Now, that said, I know we have a lot of viewers that watch us in Sampson County, especially southern Sampson County. So we'll stay with you here until the threat is certainly negated. But this is that area of rotation that we're paying very close attention to, just to the west of White Lake. It is more of a rural area, but there are still people in this warning polygon, about 600, probably more. May not be accounted for here as far as the census is concerned, but this pretty well in motion here. Moving, what do we got, Ella, here to the
north at 45 miles per hour. So just as fast as you're going down a road or even a highway. These have been fast moving cells throughout today, and that's more than likely going to be the theme throughout the rest of this morning and into the early afternoon.
Yep, you'll note that this is a radar indicated tornado warning, meaning the detection is picked up via radar, and based on the radar scans, you can see where some of that tightness is near the White Lake community. So if you're going along Highway 701, basically to the north, then you'll want to be in your safe space, pretty much right up to the county line. I'm going to draw a forecast track on this. First, ahead of doing that, I just want to show you the general trajectory that this is going. So that cone, or I should say the rotation favoring sort of the center here that we're looking at. But as of now, it's west of Highway 701. So this really just tightening up here in the last little bit. Let's take a cone here and let's go out another, we'll say 15 minutes. It's 11:13 right now. This would be just before the warning is set to expire. On top of that, I've got the speed set a little quicker here. Some of the systems that we've been watching here throughout the course of the morning have had, like you said, Ella, the tendency to move at highway speed. So we're looking at, anywhere from 45, 50, 55 miles per hour. So this gives us a little extra lead time here. Communities like a lot of churches you'll notice here, and it's important too that we focus in on that because, you know, they're spots where people are. They're big landmarks here, especially out in portions of Bladen County. You'll notice just popping onto your screen that the National Weather Service in Raleigh has sort of piggybacked off of this particular tornado warning, and they have expanded that warning, sort of crudely drawn here, if you will, but sort of based right along that county line into portions of Sampson County. So that's going to be included there in this warning. So you see some of the spots, or you did see some of the spots on your screen with this rotation that has tightened up. That would be in the path of this cell as it moves to the north, again about 45 miles per hour. So if this is your first time tuning in with us this morning, we'll give you the same spiel that we've given everyone so far, and that is that you need to move to an interior room of your house, preferably the lowest level you can find and the most interior room that you can find too, typically away from windows or anything to that nature. So a bathroom, a closet, spots like that are a good place to go in this kind of scenario. This cell kind of spinning up pretty quick, wouldn't you say, Ella? You know, just pretty quick within the last 5 or even 10 minutes at the most. But definitely the most interior room you can get is going to be good. Turn up the volume on your TV or take your phone with you into that interior room and wait for the all clear. Again, if you're in the White Lake community, and there are several other areas, homes, farms in this neck of Bladen County and also portions of Sampson County that are involved here, so we want you to stay safe as well.
Yeah, next stop for the rotation, see if it tightens up, would be along 701 as it approaches Hickory Grove Crossroads at 210, just before 701's crossing with the South River. So that's coming up in the next few minutes. Reedy Branch Bay would be the next of the Carolina Bays in the Bladen Lakes region that would get that. And just as you're looking at the reflectivity there, the torrential nature of the rain is going to limit any visibility. So you're not going to get eyeballs on it. We really need to scrutinize that as you're doing the velocity there as that rolls up. And getting very close to the county line, to your guys' point. That's why Sampson is going to be more involved really just in the next few minutes, rapidly developing. Yeah,
right you are. And if this holds together, we'll keep into this as we go forward. We know we're starting to get into different television markets here, but safety, the name of the game. We know that there are folks in the Garland community that are in this particular tornado warned polygon over on the Sampson County side that can pick up our WECT over the air signal. So we want to play this safe for just about everyone. But yeah, from a reflectivity standpoint, it is torrential, blinding rain pretty much all across Highway 701. And because it could be a little more difficult, we talked about some of the church landmarks and everything that are there. It could be a little more difficult to kind of pinpoint. So we'll try to use some crossroads here to help as much as possible. Do want to pass along, you may have noticed on your screen, outside of any tornado warned cells, we've had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings as well. Most of those have been allowed to expire. So now we're firmly looking at these tornado warned cells, and you can see the rotation here on your screen. We're getting new data in every 90 to 120 seconds. Lots of small communities, lots of rural areas involved here. And notice some lightning with this as well. So in addition to torrential downpours, now you got lightning with this as well. It's another hazard. That's why it's best to be inside. Most interior room, as noted here, away from the windows. Here's a new scan. We're also getting some help from the Raleigh radar here, as we are, I think, a little bit on the northern end. Let's zoom out here. Actually, I take it back. That's going to be from the Wilmington scan. But as we go farther north, there we go. Now we're pulling in that Raleigh data. That'll just give us another set of eyes on this. And Bladen County finds itself actually in pretty good position. They can utilize both of those radar beams in order to kind of pick up on these scans. We're seeing pretty much the same thing from Wilmington's radar and Raleigh's radar. It's that hook, that rotation. You notice the colors are a little different because we are going to Raleigh's radar. This is motion inbound toward that site, as opposed to the Wilmington radar where the motion is outbound away from the radar site there. Ella, I'm going to jump over to Max 2 and let's take a look at that reflectivity again. It's blinding rain, we know that. And we know that this line basically stretching all the way south, even if we're not seeing any big kinks in the line there, this line of just torrential rain pretty much extending all the way down now really east of the Highway 701 corridor from what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's bringing heavy rainfall to portions of these areas. We're just trying to zoom out real fast.
And by and large, that rotation, I'm gonna just take a look at that here back on Max 1, just kind of query some of these speeds. So you notice we don't have necessarily any direct or specific, I guess, inbound motion, if you will. We're looking at velocity speeds right now, a little more stationary, about 8 miles an hour as we kind of scrutinize all the details in here. It's pulling in all the details here from the tornado warning proper. But one of those elements that we're able to see is in fact the velocity and any shear that's with this as well. So now we'll look at some of the more outbound velocity. You see just the gradients right up against each other. Yeah, some 45 mile per hour queries there, so 40 to 50 mile per hour winds sort of rotating around itself. The perfect way for us to be able to detect a signature here on the lower levels of the atmosphere, mind you, with this velocity. Even in the upper levels of the velocity, almost kind of a dead giveaway here as to what that looks like. I'll kick up another couple of layers here in the upper levels of the atmosphere. This goes until 11:30 for Bladen County, and it's going to extend a little bit beyond that, Felicia, for portions of Sampson County. So, in fact, let's jump into Raleigh's chat here and let's get the specifics from them as far as how long this will likely last. So, again, their neck of the woods, we're kind of overlapping here as far as weather service markets are concerned here. So that is going to go until noon on the Sampson County side. And you see just how quickly this has moved close to the county line. So this, I would give another 5-10 minutes. I would say if you're in the White Lake community, you're still getting pummeled with rain, but the concern with the rotating cell, I think, is now going to be north of you. We're coming up on a split of road here, pretty much riding right along the county line here, and that's Highway 210 and 701, more so on the western side of 701, getting ready to cross 210. So if you know anyone that's kind of right there on the northeastern Bladen County border, coming close to Garland, folks in the Garland community, I think this will be worth getting into your safe space too. And then from there, you've got Highway 411 crossing over with Highway 701. That'll be kind of the next landmark after you get across the line there in Sampson. Anything new from the Weather Service? Still radar indicated based on what we're seeing at this point. And that latest scan, at least in the upper levels of the atmosphere, the winds perhaps a little stronger as we're looking at this. Again, we're getting fresh data scans every 90 to 120 seconds. So each scan is going to yield something different. It's sort of a snapshot in time, if you will, of that reflectivity. And in this case, velocity, which is what we look for when it comes to these rotating cells.
Yeah, that rotation is just literally a few seconds away from the South River there, right on the county line. So I would implore anyone who's watching us from this corner of Bladen County or the southwestern corner of Sampson County, particularly Garland Southwest, if that's you, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. To your guys' point, the radar scan, we can track it with 2 radars, so that means the beam is a little bit higher in elevation than is a little closer to the radar site. But still, if you're seeing those outbound yellows and then those stronger inbound greens, and they're basically right next to each other. So this storm is trying to wrap up again. I think I'm noticing as I'm looking at another source that we had some pretty tight rotation when this was by White Lake as well. So hope everyone's okay there. That was at the front of the warning, to your point earlier, Gabe. So now the danger zone, or the area of tightest rotation, rapidly making its way to the South River side of 210 there in extreme northeastern Bladen County.
Yeah, and this is more than just a rotating cell, Ella. It looks like it's also a squall line here as well. So kind of a couple of threats, but mainly they're wind threats.
Straight line wind to be at that as well. Reading in on the chat, it was at around 7 miles east of Ammon or 13 miles northeast of Elizabethtown at 40 miles per hour. So this is a very fast moving cell, and we have seen it jump quickly. So not only do we have that tornado threat within this cell, straight line winds and heavy rainfall associated. I was glancing over some of the precipitation rates, and some of them were in inches per hour. So heavy rainfall also associated with this.
Right, and for sure the National Weather Service, at least the Wilmington office, which is responsible for Bladen County, will let this warning go until 11:30. So that'll be fine. They'll update that there, but we're going to stick with this likely as it crosses the line into Sampson. As mentioned, we want to make sure folks over there are staying safe as well, because especially people picking us up over the antenna, there might be some cable outlets there as well that are picking us up over the air. So we want to make sure to stay with this.
And the Clinton and certainly north of Clinton, we're getting out of that, signal area. So I really know we're getting deeper into Raleigh territory there. But I do want to mention Clinton because a larger community within Sampson County is in this polygon. And the way that it's motioning there is north-northeast. And should the rotation hold together, that would be a time of more immediate action in Clinton. As yet, you want to get a hold of your people if you have interest in Clinton, family members, and say, hey, everybody accounted for, this is our action plan and we need to execute it. Even though that area of rotation is still several minutes to the southwest, just along the county line, I think there's some utility in mentioning Clinton as well, should the rotation hold together, guys. Yeah,
Rachel, we're talking, what, in this portion of very rural Bladen County, we're talking maybe hundreds, if not about 1,000 people involved in that warning polygon. But in Sampson County, we're talking 13,000 plus in this warning polygon, again, based on the latest census data that we have. So that would include the big, the city of Clinton in there as well. So like mentioned, we'll continue to watch this as we get new radar scans in here. We're pretty much right on that fringe from this viewpoint of the Wilmington radar. So what you're looking at now with the color change here is Raleigh's radar. So yeah, starting to get into that neck of the woods. I will pass along to you that a severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for Brunswick and Columbus counties is expiring as that threat has dropped off. But yeah, going back to the bigger picture here, when we talk about rotating cells, yes, that is one of the primary concerns, but that enhanced risk of severe weather also does include squall lines. And that's really what prompted a lot of the severe thunderstorm warnings that stretched all the way from Brunswick to Columbus up to Bladen, the one that was pretty well in effect here for a little while. When you've got winds that trigger, I believe it's more than 58 miles per hour, and perhaps some small hail as well, that's going to trigger, that's some of the criteria for a severe thunderstorm. So outside of any rotating cells, we'll be looking for cells that'll certainly ping those severe limits from a thunderstorm standpoint. We certainly have a lot of lightning to go with this as well. So worth keeping tabs on here as we approach 11:26.
I'd like to tip a hat to the National Weather Service in Wilmington, which does execute warnings for Bladen County. I think the timing that real short-term thing, gonna expire at 11:30. I think that timing works out because the area of rotation is right along the river. So more and more in the next few seconds, that area of rotation is going to be exclusively a Sampson County thing. And so we're getting ready to say the all clear as far as Bladen County. The other factors you mentioning, guys, about the torrential rain and the lightning, certainly not the all clear as far as that. Straight line wind, certainly not the all clear, but I do want to just clarify, meaning the area of rotation. And I've been scanning around for some other areas of rotation. There are some weak ones, nothing really jumping off the page for the rest of us. Of course, we do continue to be under a tornado watch officially until 6 p.m. I think if the whole system, Ella, Gabe, as it keeps on moving, may be allowed to go to bed early a little bit into the early afternoon. But certainly through lunchtime and a little bit later into the early afternoon, I'm still going to put you on alert as we're still ripe for maybe a few more of these warnings.
And the tornado warning for the Bladen County side is going to be allowed to expire at 11:30. However, we still have that threat ongoing into Sampson County.
Yep, based on, and this is another thing you've got to look at too, between two different radar sites. The overlap is not perfect, right? So from the Raleigh standpoint, it may have a farther distance to go. I mean, really, the distance is all the same, but it doesn't line up particularly on the map. So you see where the latest rotation scan is here as of 11/28 from the Raleigh radar compared to where that rotating cell is here for ILM. So again, it's beneficial for these spots that sort of overlap in National Weather Service markets to have dual radar access to these kind of things to be able to compare notes. But right now, based on what we're seeing, the progression of this, at least from the Wilmington side of things from that radar, is that that's pretty much coming right up on the county line. And we should be getting a new sweep. There it is from the Raleigh radar. And that has pretty well crossed right over the line. Still technically another minute to go here. But the Parkersburg community here just now over the line in Sampson County, you should be hunkered down. McDaniels community as well as we take you on a tour here. Butler's Crossroads as well. Then we start getting off into areas along Highway 24 if this holds together. Bonnetsville, and then there's Clinton, Moultonville included in this. Just to the north of Clinton, the Kitty Fork community. Again, any interests along those lines, family members, friends you know that may be in the path of this, you want to give them a heads up if they're not paying attention already. Hopefully everyone's at least got some way to receive weather alerts, whether it's a NOAA weather radio or here locally, the WECT First Alert weather app. So I'll say if you are in Bladen County, you now have the all clear to emerge from your safe space. I would not venture outside because we're still dealing with, on the reflectivity end of things, some very heavy rain bands. In fact, we'll look at that right now on our First Alert digital Doppler. So still heavy rain, lightning, pretty much all along that Highway 701 corridor, sandwiched between that and Highway 242. Again, moving more to the northeast, about 40, 45, maybe 50 miles per hour even in some cases. So we'll hold together here for just a few minutes and we'll see how things are going here. Hopefully we get some weaker scans here out of the Raleigh office as far as this is concerned. And we'll continue to update you there. Certainly this scan not as impressive, we'll say, compared to others, so there might be some guarded optimism. This could canceled early. That would be the Raleigh office's call, mind you, not anyone here locally in southeastern North Carolina. Let's go to a wider view, shall we? Again, that just kind of puts in perspective where this is. It's the extreme northern fringe of the WECT 6 viewing area. Elsewhere, squall line of showers and thunderstorms that are going to be bringing about some gusty winds. We've already seen some winds thus far today clocked with gusts of 40, even 50 plus miles per hour. Just while we have a quick second here, we'll take a look at some of those speeds and then we'll check in on another scan here from our friends up in the Raleigh office. So sustained winds currently anywhere from 10 to 20 locally, 20, maybe 25 plus in some of the spots you see in yellow on your screen. Remember, we don't have wind gauges absolutely everywhere. In some of these spots, oftentimes what we'll use is radar estimated data to try to get an idea of what the velocity and those speeds happen to be. So these are sustained winds, mind you. And from here, we'll take a look at the gusts. The gusts have been way more impressive, certainly throughout the course of the morning. 30 to 40 plus have already verified across southeastern North Carolina, and still some 30 plus mile per hour gusts, but mainly to the west, which has really been the whole talking point this go around. The strongest impacts, strongest of the wind, strongest rain impacts too, all off to the west, but it's this outer flank we find ourselves on with Helene. If it sounds like the same old broken record here in hurricane season, well, it kind of is. That's what we have to deal with. Let's head back to the north, shall we, as we get north of Bladen County to this worn cell here, flipping over to the radar here in the Raleigh market and southwestern Sampson County.
Pretty broad.
Yeah, it's very, very broad. Still has yet to cross over 411. I would imagine, given this pace, it's probably somewhere right over 411 as you're hearing my voice. If you're watching on some kind of web or digital platform, this information may be about a minute old, so you might even be going a little farther. But don't take the chance on it. Just kind of wait until you're given the all clear here as far as the dropping of the warnings concerned. We don't want anyone to go out prematurely here into any kind of potential danger. Anything new from the Weather Service as far as like any? I saw that still radar indicated from the Bladen County side of things. I know you're bouncing between Ella, the Wilmington Weather Service chat, the Raleigh Weather Service chat, even our friends up in the Newport-Moorhead City area. As that'll include areas like Duplin and Onslow County there, but not seeing too much from them, are we?
No, not seeing any new statements as far as that goes. I would invite the control room to turn the source to our Max 3 system, just to give a big picture view in between some of those Sampson scans. Thank you, B. So the Sampson and Bladen issues ongoing. That's with that main line. I do have eyes on some. Their structures, they are kind of constructed like individual supercells that are, stop me if you've heard this before, but south of Bald Head Island. The one encouraging thing as far as those in terms of their motion, they're not backing west with time, they're edging a little east at times. Still, if you're watching in Wilmington and some of the immediate suburbs, south and east to the islands and the beaches of New Hanover County and Pender County, so far, I know it's been rainy and gusty, but these areas have been bystanders as far as the active tornado warnings. A couple of those cells there just lifting north over Frying Pan Shoals and also Bald Head Island have exhibited, at least Ella and Gabe, some loose and transient rotations. So I did want to just invite everyone in the immediate Wilmington area to kind of not say, okay, that's up in Sampson, we're good. This is going to continue to evolve as we go into, well, heck, it's late in the morning now, but into the very early parts of the afternoon for that offshore stuff.
Right, you are. Back on our Max 1 system, I'll show you those areas that Gannon was talking about pretty well here off to the south. They kind of line up in a particular pattern, and that's what makes them, at least in some cases, easier to identify, but exhibiting just a little bit of rotation. But like Gannon mentioned, they're moving more so east. Does it mean we're off scot-free? Absolutely not. But it does merit watching for us here a little closer to home, especially I would say interest along eastern Brunswick, eastern New Hanover County, really through much of lunchtime and I would say early afternoon, those that live along the eastern coastline. So New Hanover, Pender County, Duplin, Onslow, you're going to want to be more weather aware because these would have a tendency to track that direction should, again, they hold together. Right now, not seeing anything too alarming, so I want to jump back to what's going on in Clinton, and I'm going to take the live sweep now, and I'll tell you what, guys, I'm still looking at this, and I'm thinking, yeah, that rotation is much broader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that it's a tricky point here. Do you stick with this, or do you go back to regular programming here? I would, quite honestly, I would say let's stick with this just a few more minutes here, and just so that way we feel comfortable here going back to regularly scheduled programming. The last thing we need to have happen is something to tighten up really quickly, and then you have nobody to alert you to this. But I just want to make sure we're kind of all seeing the same thing here, right? So yeah, we're going to continue to stick with that. Control room, do we have a view of, I know that Elizabethtown is not included in this warning whatsoever, but we do have a First Alert Skycam in Bladen County with Elizabethtown, and I think they're going to effort that for me here. So yeah, the intersection here near Poplar Street, and you see, look over the bridge, I believe that's 87, correct?
Business 87, you're looking, yeah, you're looking up 701 across the bridge toward White Lake. Absolutely torrential rain earlier, but now it has lightened up, so you can see to the horizon. It looks still quite gusty there with the traffic light arm bar there, just kind of motioning, but much better than before in terms of visibility, rainfall rates, and that tornado threat that originally got us back on here has abated. With that one cell now crossing into Sampson, guys.
Right, you are. And we'll jump back over to our Max 1 system. Yeah, I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing, and that is much looser rotation. In fact, even the wind fields don't look at maybe as strong. This is at the base level that we're looking at. We look at a couple of different levels, again, in the atmosphere. as far as rotation's concerned. This is the base level. Let's go up a little higher in the atmosphere, and there's still probably some general velocity overall, but not much of a change between the upper levels and the lower levels that we're scanning here as far as that velocity is concerned. I mean, I could do a quick little check of it here. Inbound, and as we look at some of the radar queries, yeah, some inbound velocity around 22 miles per hour. Again, this is all heading toward the radar in Raleigh. So you have an update from the National Weather Service Raleigh office.
That's right,
yeah.
And they are going to continue, the tornado warning in Sampson County.
Okay, gotcha. And again, that goes until noon. So at 11:37, the latest from the Weather Service, the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was about 2 miles southwest of the Clinton-Sampson County Airport, moving north at 45. So the speed really hasn't changed. The good news too, thus far it's only been radar indicated. So no trained spotters that have picked up on anything that's unusual there. But certainly folks in the Clinton community, I would be in your safe space ready to go here the next little bit as we start to get closer to that Highway 421 and 24-701, that big kind of merger there around Clinton. We'll be getting there in the next few minutes, so a good idea to kind of hunker down there. In the meantime, spots just even right over the Bladen County line from Parkersburg. Notice they have adjusted this cone with that latest update from the National Weather Service. So Parkersburg's out of the cone, Garland community's out of the cone as well. And I would say in the next little bit, the McDaniels community will be able to get out of that as well. Same with the Ingold community as well. Butler's Crossroads, you still need to be hunkered down in your safe space right now. Bonnetsville in your safe space as well. To Moultonville also be in your safe space. This is clearly a lightning generator too. I do have the lightning contours on here, and that's helpful because we know, whether or not, in addition to these rotating winds, we're seeing any lightning that comes along with that as well. So
and that could be a clue as well. I find when thunderstorms start to exhibit a little more lightning, it can just be a sign that their upper levels are working, and maybe it's starting to pulse back up. So
yeah,
that might be something that some of the meteorologists with the National Weather Service office in Raleigh are kind of say, oh, hey, maybe this storm is trying to signal us that it's back on the come up, at least for a little bit. So I think, to your guys' point earlier, just kind of stay with us, especially as this area of most concern, broad rotation as it is now entering some of the more populated sections of Sampson County, namely Clinton, right in the center of that polygon there.
Right, close to 11,000 people within the warning polygon, again, based on census data that we have here. That's what we know thus far. So this warning going to continue again for another 20 minutes or so. We appreciate you sticking with us. Let's take a moment and let's look at the hour-by-hour forecast, because as we go through the next little bit, we'll start to see some relief from these rotating storms. Really, once we can get past this main line, I think conditions are really going to start to improve a lot. This is our high-resolution modeling here. And yeah, I'll get to that in just a moment. I see exactly what you guys are pointing out here. We got a little bit of time. But I want to take you forward here through lunchtime, early afternoon. That band is going to continue to progress to the northeast. And so that's going to start to negate that tornadic threat and even that severe threat a little more. I want to jump over to Max 3 because Gannon has been watching the base velocity here just offshore, and it's looking a little tighter here. Just a little bit, just to the south of Southport, Bald Head Island. So if we could route up Max 3, if you don't mind. I think we've got what Max, or yeah, that's what we're looking at right now is Max 3. I guess Correct. We've got Max 2 back behind you there. So yeah, just kind of right in this general.
Just south of Bald Head, that one cell.
Yeah.
I remember there was an outbreak of severe weather that, Gabe, you were on for in January, and there was a couple of really tight areas of rotation that were sponsoring Special marine warnings in this one area, and it would look like they could just slip east. Sometimes that when there is a supercell in the area, the Weather Service will put a really skinny tornado warning just along the islands, you know, just to be safe there. And that may be some kind of situation. Right now, there's a special marine warning. So hopefully, the rotation weakens and loosens up, and there's no need for any additional warnings, marine or otherwise. But that's what we're watching right now for sure.
We have the details on that as far as that marine warning, how long that's going to go until. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, it's weird because it's right on the border, right. That tip of Cape Fear there is in one marine zone, and so it would just be for the next little bit, and it remains to be seen if they're going to issue a new one for the next marine zone up, which would you know, be off of the east-facing beaches.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks for that, Gannon. Appreciate it, and we'll jump back over here eventually to our Max 1 system as soon as we get the Velocity product to load. I'll come back to you, Hallsborough, in just a second, just with some rotation there, a couple little kinks in the line. But we'll look back here just southwest of Clinton, where there is still that active tornado warning, which is why we are on the air here with you right now. We have viewers, of course, in south and southwestern Sampson County, folks in the Clinton community that pick us up here on WECT, certainly over the air and through some of the cable outlets there. So that rotation, certainly a little weaker. You know, to be honest with you, I'm not seeing a whole lot of update here. I think these radar scans maybe just a little longer in between by comparison, or at least little movement compared to when we've checked in with it last, certainly. But to your point, let's go back down off to the south, and that area that we were pointing out just off to the south of like Bald Head Island, Southport, that neck of the woods, that's another classic area that we would watch for as far as that rotation and potential for a water spout if it holds together to move on land. Anything new from the National Weather Service, Ella, from the Raleigh office in particular? I know that they're going to continue this until noon, but any indications that there has been any kind of confirmation or anything like that as far as the cell here in Sampson County? We've got a new scan in here, and sorry, before I have you jump in here, yeah, that rotation a little broader, but you see kind of that squall line developing right along Highway 701. So there's certainly some gusty winds in the lead up right along that to Clinton. So regardless of any rotation, the winds are probably howling out there for sure.
As of now, no new updates from the National Weather Service in Raleigh, and we'll double check with ours here locally. No new updates as of now.
We do have a flood advisory for Bladen and Columbus counties that has just come out. So I'll put that up here on your screen so you can see what areas that's impacted. Obviously, the rainfall, you know, certainly a concern for a lot of folks, mainly because of PTC 8 last week. We saw the freak amount of rain that it dropped in eastern Brunswick, southern New Hanover County too. But this is going to go for the next few hours or so. Just a band of torrential rain inland, really along Highway 701. You see some of the communities that does impact: Brunswick, Clarkton, Elizabethtown, Lake Waccamaw, White Lake, Whiteville, and the Williams community, all included in this here for Bladen and, of course, Columbus County as well. So that's what we call a flood advisory. So not quite as severe as a flood warning, but the rainfall rates certainly a lot there. So this is not really surprising to see after a severe thunderstorm warning, certainly, but in this case, it sort of overlaps with a little bit of that area that was involved in the tornado warning.
So as we kind of inch toward midday, Ella and Gabe in our control room, not seeing anything super tight on that rotation near Clinton. I think, to your point, it's more of a straight line wind kind of thing, and of course the rain and lightning hazards as well. But the National Weather Service in Raleigh is kind of holding pat. So maybe a plan would be, should that not tighten up, we'll stick with it for a few more scans in deference to the National Weather Service in Raleigh, but maybe just kind of wrap this up and then reignite with our WECT news at midday, unless any new warnings pop up with some of those other weak areas of rotation that we were talking about as well. Still at least a weak sign of rotation south of Bald Head while I'm on the topic.
Right, you are. We did get one additional update here from the National Weather Service pertaining to that tornado watch, and I'll pull that in here just as I verify with the latest scan that, yeah, that rotation, sure enough, loosening a bit. So we had the new one that was issued for portions of southeastern North Carolina until 6 o'clock tonight. The latest update we got from the National Weather Service as far as that watch is concerned, and you'll likely see that crawling along the bottom right portion of your screen in that little key map, is that there are some counties that have been discontinued. You'll notice that there's some spots in Brunswick County. Oh, is the crawl's not okay? We'll get that taken care of. Let's go to Max 1 though, because I can at least show you here. Notice portions of Robeson and Horry County no longer included in a tornado watch. So what we're seeing is that threat diminish as this main line goes through. So I have some guarded optimism as we head through the next probably couple of hours. We'll see some additional updates here, likely see some of these watches canceled early as this line moves through.
Yeah, they've been issuing huge watches. The one that was affected of last night, we might have been better served to not even been included in it. We were in the eastern corner of it, and thankfully so. We did not realize any severe thunderstorms or tornadoes here in southeastern North Carolina overnight, where the threat is even maximized versus the day. But I think to your point, that large tornado watch that we're under till 6 p.m. actually goes all the way up into Virginia. So we're still kind of on the front end of this as well, geographically. So yeah, I would expect absolutely more counties to be dropped from the watch area as we go into the early afternoon. And it's been a long morning, so that can't come soon enough, but just some good reason for optimism, as you were saying, to get this wrapped up long before dinner time.
Yeah, right you are. So I think we'll take this opportunity as we take a look at the latest scan as this warned area is approaching Clinton. The rotation is broad enough that I'm comfortable with us tossing back to regularly scheduled programming.
Very comfortable.
So that way we can get ready for WECT News at midday. That'll give us a chance to reset here. That'll give us a chance to get Bill out here as well to bring you the latest headlines and probably the latest video that has been sent in through See It, Snap It, Send It. So comfortable enough. They're going to let this continue on here likely for another 10 minutes from the Raleigh office, mind you. So we're going to go back to regularly scheduled programming here. And we'll see you back here for WECT News at midday. It's hour-long coverage. And fortunately, if we need to cut in for any kind of severe warning, we'll already be in the newscast and be able to help you out there. So with that, we'll send you back to regularly scheduled programming.